Hello, Group 12 welcomes you to Switzerland. This video will focus on the political, economic, sociocultural, technological, environmental, and legal aspects of Switzerland. The information from this PESTEL and SWOT analysis is intended to be used as an international business decision-making guide for those exploring Switzerland as a foreign market entry. To begin, let's look at the geographical location and demographics behind a land famously known for its natural beauty, Swiss watches, chocolates, cheeses, and music festivals. Consisting of 15,940 square miles, Switzerland is located in Central Europe. The capital is Bern, Switzerland. Unlike the United States, Switzerland lacks any maritime claims. 96.9% of Switzerland is land. As a landlocked country, Switzerland borders France in the west, Germany in the north, Austria and the Principality of Liechtenstein in the east, and Italy in the south. The terrain in Switzerland is mostly mountains, with a central plateau of rolling hills, plains, and large lakes. The climate is temperate but varies with altitude, and the varying elevations allow for denser populations in the north and west, but limit settlement in the higher Alps of the south. Switzerland is home to 8,236,303 people, only 2.52% of the population in the U.S. Similar to the United States, Switzerland is very diverse in religion and languages and is the only country in the world to have 4 national languages. The median age of the Swiss is 42.2 years of life, 4.3 more years than the U.S. The population growth rate of 0.7% is just below the U.S. rate of 0.8%. Ranking in at number 9 in the world for life expectancy at birth, the Swiss's life expectancy is 82.6 years compared to the United States life expectancy of 79.8 years. Let's begin our PESTEL analysis by looking into the political characteristics of Switzerland.
Switzerland is a confederation of 26 cantons, similar in structure to a federal republic. Ratified in 1848, the Swiss federal constitution formalized democracy that had been in place since the late 13th century. Unlike the representative political system of the United States, Switzerland is a direct democracy. This means Swiss citizens have more power to directly affect laws and constitutional amendments through popular initiative and majority decision. The political system in Switzerland is comprised of 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. The executive branch includes 7 equal members of the Federal Council. While Switzerland does have a president, Doris Lethard, the role is mostly ceremonial and described as the first among equals. Each of the 7 members, elected by the legislative branch's Federal Assembly, rotate serving a 1-year term as president. Members of the 2-chamber Federal Assembly are elected by majority vote and serve 4-year terms. The Federal Supreme Court is Switzerland's highest court of the judicial branch. Judges are elected by the Federal Assembly and serve 6-year terms. Switzerland is a free country with a consistent freedom aggregate score of 96 or higher over the last 14 years. A 2-year downward trend between 2008 and 2010 exists due to electoral gains of the anti-immigrant Swiss People's Party. As you can see, the downward trend has leveled out and Switzerland scores higher than the also free United States, which is still in decline. Corruption in Switzerland is not an impediment to businesses. Switzerland ranks 5th overall in cleanest countries as compared to the United States at 18. While the overall corruption perception index for Switzerland remains high, there is slight concern for possible corruption in the banking sector. Lenient monitoring of financial institutions makes the possibility of financial crimes such as money laundering and tax evasion easier for corrupt business people. Switzerland has a strong rule of law perception. Property rights are protected, contracts and rules are binding, and the judicial systems are considered fair.
The next portion of our PESTEL analysis brings us to the economic sector. While we are used to a mixed economy in the United States, Switzerland utilizes a modern market economy, which according to Investopia.com is defined as a market economy in which the economic decisions and the pricing of goods and services are guided solely by the aggregate interactions of a country's individual citizens and businesses. There is little government intervention or central planning. This is the opposite of a centrally planned economy, in which government decisions drive most aspects of a country's economic activity. As we can see from the data provided, Switzerland has been in line with the United States in terms of economic freedom until sometime in 2011, when Switzerland began to trend towards a more free market system. Both countries are well above the average economic freedom index for the world. According to the European Commission, tariffs on Swiss manufacturers are generally low, and in principle there are no quantitative restrictions, anti-dumping or countervailing or safeguard actions. However, in a number of Swiss sectors, the market entry has long suffered from informal barriers, which can be attributed to a legacy of weak anti-cartel legislation, specific and protective technical regulations, certain investment restrictions, and exclusive rights under intellectual property legislation. Until recently, Switzerland was trended lower than the United States on the overall Human Development Index, but in fact, as of 2016, according to the Human Development Reports by the United Nations, Switzerland now ranks second in the world. The top three major exports for Switzerland are gold at 65.3 billion, packaged medicaments at 31.9 billion, and human or animal blood at 18.1 billion. Top destinations for these exports are Germany, the United States, and Hong Kong. Top imports for Switzerland are gold at 72.7 billion, packaged medicaments at 14.1 billion, and cars at 10.5 billion. Top import countries of origin are Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Looking at various economic data, Switzerland's economy has foreign direct investment inflows and outflows and decreasing inflation rates that are more in line with the United States market. While their merchandise exports are on the rise since 2009, there has been a slight drop-off. The cost of living in Switzerland is significantly higher than the United States. According to Numbeo.com, the consumer prices alone in Switzerland are 41% higher than in the US. So with that in mind, $4,400 to maintain the same living conditions in Switzerland would be around 6,000 francs.
We will now look at various dimensions of culture, beginning with Hofstede. The people of Switzerland seem to like more clear and concise information, rating higher on the uncertainty avoidance index. There is also a relevance of pragmatic nature in decisions made, leaning towards a more logical and practical approach to everyday living. Moving on to Trompenaars' data, we can see that the Swiss believe that you make your own decisions and that you must take care of yourself. There is a tendency for a larger expression of emotions than in the United States, rating just a 32 on the neutral versus effective score.
Velcro, the Swiss Army knife, insulin pumps, and the first heart transplant are just a few examples of innovations from Switzerland. CERN, one of the largest and most respected scientific research centers in the world, is also located in Switzerland. It was at this facility that the World Wide Web was created. Scientists successfully trapped antimatter atoms and discovered pentaquarks. Advances in technology such as these are precisely why Switzerland consistently ranks number 1 as the most innovative country with an innovation index average of approximately 66. Funding research and development is important to the Swiss, as represented by the steady increase in R&D expenditures as a percent of GDP. These efforts are further exemplified by the sheer volume of patent applications per capita in Switzerland as compared to other countries.
Switzerland is in Central Europe and is a top tourist spot because of its natural beauty. Yale's Environmental Performance Index evaluates how 180 countries protect ecosystems and human health. Over the past 10 years, Switzerland has continuously had a higher ranking than the United States in Yale's EPI. In 2016, Switzerland ranked number 16 on the EPI with an overall score of 86.93. In a respective comparison, the USA ranks number 26. Switzerland has 2 top 10 rankings, water resources and water and sanitation at number 9. The United States does not have any top 10 rankings. Switzerland suffers from the climate change and loss of biodiversity, of which are directly related to its worst indicators: air quality with a ranking of 127 and health impacts with a ranking of 66. Problematic categories for Switzerland are air pollution, where excessive fine air particles contribute to low scores in average exposure to PM 2.5 with a score of 72.57, and air pollution PM 2.5 exceedance, where they score 56.25. These contribute to the overall problem with environmental risk exposure. Excessive nitrogen levels are of particular concern as levels can range up to 54 compared to natural atmospheric levels of 0.5 to 2 kilograms per hectare per year. About 2/3 of this comes from farming, while the remainder is from burning fossil fuel. In May 2017, a Swiss binding referendum contained a plan to provide billions of dollars in subsidies for renewable energy, ban nuclear plants, and help bail out struggling utilities. Foreign businesses can capitalize on the Swiss's new plan to increase the share of renewables in total energy consumption from 16% in 2005 to 24% in 2020. By 2030, the country plans to produce 5,400 gigawatt hours of electricity annually from renewables. Examples of innovative businesses to meet these demands are the Swiss creation of the world's first commercial plant for capturing carbon dioxide directly from the air, and projects like the Green Glass Project, which collaborates with BMW to provide every single person in the Swiss population with carbon-free transportation options. Switzerland operates under a civil law legal system characterized by coded statutes, detailed all-encompassing rules with clear and rigid law. Judges decide facts in law, and corruption is more likely. In comparison, the common law system of the United States relies on judicial precedents. Lawyers and juries are crucial to court decisions, but the process can be confusing and flexible. Swiss government enacts strong rule of law, judicial independence, and control of corruption. Since 2012, Switzerland consistently ranks higher than the United States in legal and political environment, physical property rights, and the International Property Rights Index score. In 2017, the Swiss scored 8.561 on their IPRI score, and the U.S. scored 8.074. In the past 5 years, the IPRI average scores are Swiss 8.234 versus United States 7.743. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Swiss General Public Administration ranks number 1 globally in output efficiency, and their public administration enjoys the highest public confidence of any national government in the OECD. The Swiss Code of Obligations, the Lex Friedrich Kohler, the Securities Law, and the Cartel Law are the major laws regulating foreign investment in Switzerland. The Swiss government welcomes FDI and is not hampered by any kind of barrier. Switzerland is not a member of the European Union and allows all the 26 cantons to set their own foreign investment attraction policies. Historically, Switzerland effectively enforces intellectual property rights linked to patents and trademarks, but Swiss authorities have lackluster regulation over the enforcement of online copyright laws. Subsequently, Switzerland has become a base for global online piracy. The number of online piracy platforms managing their operations through Switzerland is so alarming that the 2016 United States Trade Representative placed Switzerland on its special 301 watch list. In the past 5 years, the United States has continuously outperformed the Swiss in intellectual property rights, with an average score of 8.48 versus the Swiss at 8.24.
Switzerland has turned its mission to provide groundbreaking research and innovations into its greatest strength, as evidenced by the average 3.4% of GDP spent on R&D the last few years. Switzerland's strengths also lie in its world-class infrastructures, an idyllic location for business with European, African, and Middle Eastern markets. Switzerland is the epicenter of European and global competition, and businesses may wish to be aware of this weakness. Switzerland's growing economy and pioneerism in mathematics and science provide interested investors with prodigious opportunities. It is also recommended that businesses be mindful of potential threats. While Switzerland is one of the most uncorrupt countries in the world, tax evasion lawsuits involving offshore activity are more common than one may expect. Additionally, Switzerland has strict requirements for non-Europeans wishing to work in their country. This concludes our PESTEL presentation on Switzerland.